Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Manmohan Singh. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, India's former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh passes away at the age of 92. National mourning announced. Prime Minister Modi calls him one of India's most distinguished leaders. South Korea's opposition files an impeachment motion against acting President Han Duck-soo. Vote in the favor of 3 nominees in Constitutional Court judges. Pakistan military court sentences 60 more civilians for taking part in pro-Imran Khan unrest last year. And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi participates in the Veer Bal Divas program in New Delhi, recalls the valor and sacrifices of the Sahibzadas. India's former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh, veteran Congress leader, passed away in New Delhi. He took his last breath at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences in New Delhi on Thursday late evening. He was 92 years old and was ill for a very long time. A distinguished economist and statesman, Dr. Manmohan Singh served 2 consecutive terms as Prime Minister, leading a coalition government under Congress-led United Progressive Alliance from 2004 to 2014. He was the architect of India's economic liberalization in 1991 as Finance Minister in the P.V. Narasimha Rao government. Prime Minister Manmohan Singh was born on the 26th of September 1932 in the Punjab province of undivided India. Dr. Singh earned a first-class honours degree in economics in 1957 from the University of Cambridge. He also completed DPhil in economics from Nuffield College at the Oxford University in 1962. India has announced a 7-day period of national mourning following the death of the former Prime Minister. He passed away on Thursday at the age of 92. All government programs scheduled for Friday have been cancelled. National mourning of 7 days has been declared. The cabinet is expected to meet tomorrow at 11 a.m. Last rites of the former Prime Minister will be conducted with full state honours. And my colleague Mark Lynn joins us for more on that. Mark Lynn, you were covering, you were reporting, you were anchoring, you saw Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh's tenure very closely. How would you judge the legacy of Dr. Singh?
Well, Amrit, his legacy is a long one because it started first as a bureaucrat, a technocrat. He served as India's Economic Affairs Secretary. Then he became the Governor of the Reserve Bank of India. And then when he was made
Chief Economic Advisor, Mark, yeah. And then later Finance Secretary, yeah.
Right. And then when he served as the Finance Minister of India under P.V. Narasimha Rao is when he brought in those economic reforms, much needed economic reforms of the country, so that set the country on the path of, economic growth. Something that was different, thinking out of the box, thinking differently at that point of time was unique. And, people now look back and say that he had the vision actually to take our country forward in terms of seeing the economic potential of our country. Now, you did mention that he had several degrees in economics, and one would think that, India was a socialist country, and to try and unleash the animal spirits, as he once said, where are the animal spirits in the economy? He was the one who actually brought out that ability because he understood that India had a lot of entrepreneurial ability. And even when he made his one of his famous speeches in Parliament when he was out of office at the time of demonetization, he talked about how a large number of people work in the informal sector and how dependent they were on the cash economy and how this, demonetization was going to hit them. But you can see that he constantly looked at the livelihoods of people and the way that they worked, and he understood the system that the Indian economy needed. And when we look at a global level as well, the kind of respect he received not only as a statesman in terms of international affairs, an area that you're familiar with, but in the whole area of geoeconomics, especially during the 2008 financial crisis. During that period of time, even before President Obama had taken office, and then he had later on, Obama had realized that it was a lot of advice that Dr. Manmohan Singh had given to world leaders at around that time that had set things in place, and then, sort of create the G7 and the G20, all these things. Actually learned a great deal from Dr. Manmohan Singh's wisdom in terms of economics. And even when the European Union was having trouble in terms of their economy, when the Eurozone was struggling, they turned to Dr. Manmohan Singh for advice, and he gave them the advice that, it was not probably wise to have a common currency without having, a common a union without a common. The idea of a common currency without a common monetary policy. Those issues which were difficult to analyze when you had so many countries using the same. There was no real monetary union. There was no fiscal union. How could you have all that? So there were certain issues involved with that, which needed to be more carefully analyzed. So these are the kind of aspects that he talked about very openly, and I think he developed a lot of respect. In fact, I think Obama called him a very wise and an erudite man.
Right. He did earn that respect, but despite that, he was looked at somebody who was not an elected prime minister, who was a selected prime minister. But still, in the first term, when the left, which was the key support of the UPA, threatened to pull out, the man stood his ground on the US nuclear deal. What did that say about Dr. Singh's character?
Indeed, absolutely. That's perhaps one of the strong points that stand out in his career, especially since the nuclear deal was something that he seemed to took it really personally as something that he was bringing to the table and bringing India out of a sense of nuclear appetite and into the world of civil nuclear cooperation, giving India a chance to place its case in the world, amongst the world powers. And of course, it was done with the help of the United States. But Dr. Manmohan Singh was the one who grabbed the opportunity, who saw the potential of this. And though there was a lot of resistance to it, he was the one who went out of his way. And, he just stood his ground. And at the end of the day, the Congress party backed him. The left pulled out, but the government survived. And not only did the government survive, the government came back to power in 2009. So the UPA was re-elected on the strength of that nuclear deal and the strength that the Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, had shown in terms of seeing that this is actually a recognition of India's time now on the world stage. And I think it was a nuclear deal to a large extent that brought India, into global prominence. And I'm sure that many diplomats would acknowledge that this is probably one of the turning points in India's foreign policy.
True. Mark, how would you rate Dr. Manmohan Singh as a politician? Because his critiques said that he did not, he wasn't a man who spoke in public, much in public. He wasn't a man who was seen as politically leading the country. He was overshadowed by the then UPA chairperson's image. Even her son's son had the gall to come and tear the ordinance. So here was a man who was politically not able to stand his ground, though he may have stood his ground on the Indo-US nuclear deal against the left?
Well, there are occasions when apparently he did stand his ground.
Okay.
Of course, the structure appeared that there was a superstructure that controlled the UPA because it was a coalition, and there was the coalition mantra in a way that he had to probably, bow down to that kind of a situation. But there are instances, for instance, he was very firm in the way I think India was supposed to vote on certain issues in the UN, even though, maybe the UPA president had probably thought otherwise because of the issues of Palestine and others, and even Iran. But I think Dr. Manmohan Singh took certain stands that were contrary to that of the party, and really in the interest of the country. And then the government backed him on that because he was the prime minister, and then the party also followed suit. So it was not only one or two there were occasions when local politics, decided that perhaps Sonia Gandhi was the person that the other parties turned to because she was the head of the UPA. She was the UPA chairperson. But when the Prime Minister took decisions in the interests of the nation, I think it was not really a decision that was taken by, the UPA president in a sense.
Okay.
Or the UPA chairperson.
Okay.
So the Prime Minister acted as the Prime Minister when he was, abroad, for instance, as he often said, and I had the occasion to travel with him twice or thrice when he was on his tours. And he was a man who was very well received whenever he traveled, whether it was in Europe. I went with him on his last trip to China in 2013. That was the time when, Xi Jinping had just taken office, and Li Keqiang, the late former premier, was also just taken office. And there was an incident that whilst they were sitting across the table, the transfer of the Li Keqiang was being done to Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh.
Right.
And the gentleman said that, you are a senior leader. So the Li Keqiang stopped and said, he spoke in English and said, I didn't mean senior leader, I meant a veteran statesman, an honorable thing. So you see, so he had that.
He earned that respect
of
the world leaders.
Even amongst the new leaders who were coming on, new leaders on the block at that time.
True. A man who earned respect amongst world leaders, even within the country, even the opposition respected him. A man who was soft-spoken, a man who was mild-mannered, a man who was known for great personal integrity. There will remain questions about his term as Prime Minister, especially in UPA 2, but those are political decisions. But as an individual, it was a fine man, and I think India has lost one of its finest leaders today. But at 92, when Dr. Manmohan Singh passes away, anybody would say it was a life well lived. Marklin, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for your input. And former Prime Minister and veteran Congress leader Manmohan Singh, who passed away in New Delhi today. He took his last breath at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. He was 92 years. He was ill for some time now. A distinguished economist and a statesman, Dr. Manmohan Singh served 2 consecutive terms as the Prime Minister, leading a coalition government under the Congress, under the United Progressive Alliance from 2004 to 2014. He was the architect of India's economic liberalization in 1991 as Finance Minister in the P.V. Narasimha Rao government. Prime Minister Manmohan Singh was born on the 26th of September 1932 in the Punjab province of undivided India. Dr. Singh earned a first-class honours degree in economics in 1957 from the University of Cambridge, United Kingdom. He completed DPhil in economics from the Nuffield College of Oxford University in 1962. In 1971, Dr. Singh joined the Government of India as its economic advisor in the Commerce Ministry. This was followed. He was in the finance ministry in 1972. He was a deputy chairman of the planning commission. He was the governor of the Reserve Bank of India. He was the advisor of the Prime Minister and the chairman of the University Grants Commission. Dr. Singh spent 5 years between 1991 and 1996 as India's finance minister. His role in ushering in a comprehensive policy of economic reforms is now recognized worldwide. And President Draupadi Murmu has condoled the demise of former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh. She expressed her condolences on X, writing, and I quote, "Former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh ji was one of the rare politicians who seamlessly bridged the world of academia and administration. In his various roles in public office, he made critical contributions to reforming India's economy. He will always be remembered for his service to the nation, his unblemished political life, and his utmost humility. His passing is a great loss to all of us. I pay my respectful homage to one of the greatest sons of Bharat and convey my heartfelt condolences to his family, friends, and admirers." Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar wrote on X, and I quote, "Deeply pained to learn about the passing of Dr. Manmohan Singh ji, former Prime Minister and distinguished economist who transformed India who transformed India's economic landscape. His profound understanding of economy, gentle demeanor, and unwavering commitment to India's progress will forever be etched in my memory. In Dr. Singh's passing, India has lost a leader of towering intellect and a statesman par excellence. His legacy will forever guide Bharat's growth trajectory." India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed grief on the demise of former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh and shared his condolences on social media platform X. I quote, "India mourns the loss of one of its most distinguished leaders, Dr. Manmohan Singh ji. Rising from humble origins, he became a respected economist and held various important government positions, including that of finance minister, where he left a lasting impact on our economic policy. His interventions in Parliament were insightful and valuable. As Prime Minister, he made extensive efforts to improve the lives of the people." Taking to X, Prime Minister Modi further wrote, "Dr. Manmohan Singh ji and I interacted regularly when he was Prime Minister and I was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. We would have extensive deliberations on various subjects relating to governance. His wisdom and humility were always visible. In this hour of grief, my thoughts are with the family of Dr. Manmohan Singh ji, his friends, and countless admirers. Om Shanti." Unquote. Speaker of the lower house of Parliament, Om Birla, also expressed condolences on the social media platform X. I quote, "The demise of former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh ji is extremely sad. Apart from being an eminent economist and an enlightened politician, he will always be remembered for his gentle and simple demeanor. As an efficient administrator, finance minister, and Prime Minister, he served the nation for decades. My condolences are with Dr. Singh's family in this hour of grief. I pray to God to grant a place for his departed soul at his feet and give strength to the bereaved family and the nation." And condoling the demise of former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, India's Minister of Home Affairs Amit Shah wrote on X, and I quote, "The news of demise of former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh is extremely sad. From being the Governor of the Reserve Bank of India to the Finance Minister of the country, and as Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh played an important role in the governance of the nation. I express my condolences to his family and supporters in this hour of grief. May Vaheguru grant peace to his soul and give strength to his family to bear this grief." And India's leader of opposition in the lower house, Rahul Gandhi also expressed grief over the demise of former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh. He wrote, Manmohan Singh ji led India with immense wisdom and integrity. His humility and deep understanding of economics inspired the nation. My heartfelt condolences to Mrs. Kaur and the family. I've lost a mentor and guide. Millions of us who admired him will remember him with utmost pride. And reactions are pouring in over the demise of former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh. Let's listen in.
डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी के निधन के बारे में जानकर बहुत गहरा दुख हुआ है। डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी इस देश में एक आर्थिक क्रांति लेके आए। डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी चाहे आरबीआई के गवर्नर रहे हों, वित्त मंत्री रहे हों या देश के प्रधानमंत्री 10 साल रहे हों, उन्होंने अपने व्यक्तित्व को इस तरह से देश के सामने रखा जैसे वो एक देश के सेवक हों। पाकिस्तान में जन्मे और भारत में आकर अपनी शिक्षा क्रांति के चलते उन्होंने देश की सबसे ऊंची पदवी पर पहुंचे, देश के प्रधानमंत्री के रूप में।
बहुत ही अच्छे दिल के वो आदमी थे, बहुत ही सीधे साधे आदमी थे, लेकिन बहुत बड़े अभ्यासु थे, बहुत बड़े अर्थतज्ञ थे। उनका नाम पूरे देश भर में अर्थतज्ञ के माध्यम से बहुत बड़ा नाम था। तो अचानक उनका जाना हमारे लिए, सभी लोगों के लिए दुख की बात है।
He led a full life. It was a full life, extremely full life, and it was an extraordinarily distinguished life. Chief Economic Advisor, Chief Economic Advisor, Finance Secretary, Member Secretary Planning Commission, Governor Reserve Bank of India, Deputy Chairman Planning Commission, Finance Minister, Prime Minister. I can't think of anybody in India who's had all these posts and filled them with the greatest of distinction.
Okay, moving on to some international news now. South Korea's political crisis is far from over as the main opposition party introduced a bill to impeach acting President Han Duck-soo on Thursday. The decision came after Han announced that he will not appoint justices to the Constitutional Court. The voting will be held on Friday, and this move could deepen the country's constitutional crisis triggered by a short-lived martial law. More in this report.
South Korea's opposition on Thursday claimed that they filed an impeachment motion against acting President Han Duck-soo, and they will hold a vote on Friday. Leaders accused President Han of obstructing the constitutional process to remove his predecessor, President Yoon Suk-yeol, from the office. The decision came after Han announced that he will not appoint justices to the Constitutional Court until the rival parties agree for a political compromise.
Prime Minister Han Duck-soo officially announced that he would not appoint a Constitutional Court judge, which is his constitutional duty. His statement effectively acknowledges himself not as an acting authority, but as an acting authority of treason.
The opposition Democratic Party had threatened to impeach President Han if he does not appoint 3 justices to fill the vacancies at the Constitutional Court. Parliament voted in favor of 3 nominees on Thursday, but they have yet to be formally appointed by Han. However, South Korea's ruling People Power Party urged the opposition party to stop its attempts to impeach acting president.
The Democratic Party's deluge and tsunami of impeachments has now gone beyond paralyzing the government to completely devastating state affairs. What the Democratic Party seeks to impeach today is not the acting president Han Duck-soo, but the government itself, the livelihoods of the public, diplomacy in South Korea.
South Korea fell in a political crisis when President Yoon Suk-yeol declared martial law on 3rd December. Yoon was stripped of his duties by Parliament on 14th December over the dramatic declaration. But a constitutional court ruling upholding the decision by lawmakers is necessary to complete the impeachment process. The court is, however, currently short of 3 judges. while it can go ahead with its 6 members on the bench and a single dissenting vote would reinstate Yoon. At the same time, if the impeachment motion passed on Friday, Finance Minister Choi Sang-mok would step in as acting president. Aman Kumar Himanshu's report for DD India.
A Pakistani military court on Thursday sentenced 60 civilians to jail for taking part in pro-Imran Khan protests in 2023 and attacks on military facilities. Those sentenced include a relative of Imran Khan as well as 2 retired military officers. The military's media wing said that the government and the armed forces remain steadfast in their commitment to upholding justice. In May 2023, Khan's arrest sparked countrywide protests that saw his supporters attack and ransack military installations. Khan supporters may have denied wrongdoing, and Khan himself claims that cases against him are politically motivated. Meanwhile, the international community has also expressed concern over the sentencing. The US has expressed deep concern about the sentences, and the EU has criticized the move. And that's it in this edition of DD India Live. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.